excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. One day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you. They happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I am so very excited to be with you tonight. It's been a while, right? Listen, I am excited because this week on this special broadcast, we are going to celebrate public education. We're going to celebrate all of our educators. So if you are out there right now in this country somewhere or wherever you are, the Ella Johnson Show celebrates you. We appreciate you for your service because it's American Education Week here in the United States. Now, it's November 18th through the 22nd. So we're just going to be live tonight, tomorrow night. But I just want to welcome you guys. If you're watching by Facebook, thank you so much. You're always so supportive. So please just share the broadcast because this is going to be a show for the ages, because we need to understand what our educational system is like here and abroad, guys. We have a lot to talk about. Of course, I have my beautiful friend Kathy here. She is a retired Florida educator, but listen, she knows her stuff. Let me just tell you that. So you are in for it tonight because we have a lot of information to share. If you are watching from YouTube, thank you so much as well. Just do me a favor and subscribe to my channel since you're already there, right? But again, guys, we just want to welcome you to the Ella Johnson Show. And I want you guys to think about something for tonight, throughout this week. I want you to think about, like, when your kids get up every morning, they catch a bus. So you have bus drivers that assist them. They go to school, they have teachers. And most of them have an education. When you say, Kathy, they all have an education. So they're well taught and learned. So they're able to provide good education for your kids. When it's time for lunch, they get to go and have lunch. They get to go out on recess and play on nice playground equipment. But I want you to think about something that's real. Not every child in this world can do that, right? And that's why I have joined forces with the Borgen Project to be a part of what's going to happen next, because we should all be concerned about what happens. Tonight and tomorrow night's broadcast, we are really going to go across the border so that we can be a part of the right side of history, guys. So I want you guys to meet my Kathy. Isn't she just beautiful? She is. She has been on my show several times, so she's a friend, okay? She's not only a friend of the Ella Johnson Show, but she's my friend. So Kathy has worked in education. She has been a Florida educator for over 30 years. That deserves a round of applause right there. Because I'm telling you right now, I couldn't do it. That's why I'm excited to recognize all the educators, because I realize what you guys have to go through. So I just want to give you your flowers tonight, virtual flowers. She has taught multiple grade levels, guys, and subjects. So she's very versatile. She's also taught in schools where a lot of minorities attended. So she became one with her students. and knowing their needs, meeting their families. She cared. That is something y'all all know. Everyone that's watching this broadcast can remember an educator, teacher, maybe even Sunday school teacher that you can say made a difference in how you think in this world. Educators shape the way our children think and how they behave, so they deserve to be applauded. So I just want to welcome you, Kathy, to the Ella Johnson Show again and again. Thank you so much for coming on to talk about the educational system and everything that you've experienced. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here again with you, Ella. We speak on the same vibe, and I love being here, and I love the opportunity to share. I'd like to piggyback on what you were just saying. Yes, I am proud of my 30 years in education, but guys, if it was today, I don't know if I could do it either. So I really, education has changed so much, and being a teacher is tough. It's the pay is terrible, the working conditions are terrible, it's politically terrible, the kids are out of control. So if you are a teacher watching this program, then kudos. You are my hero. You are so much more of a hero than I am. Parents, go to your classroom teachers and tell them how much you appreciate what they do. Don't, support them, have their back. And because what they do is invaluable. They spend more time with your kids every day than you do, most of them.
Amen.
And they have more influence on your kids than you do. So
Amen.
That's
right.
serious. That's serious. And there's a bunch of really good ones out there right now, because that's pretty much all that's left. Anybody that used to be in it because of the money or because it was quote unquote easy or whatever, those teachers have all gone to something else. And the ones that are left, they're doing a good job, and they are real troopers. And I just want to applaud all the teachers out there. And thank you, Ella, for having me also publicly celebrate Education Week with those teachers.
Absolutely. One of the reasons that I chose to go live for tonight and tomorrow night is because, as you can tell, I am an ambassador with the Borgen Project. Now, tonight and tomorrow, you're going to hear a lot about the Borgen Project because they've done wonderful things for people in other countries. And it started with the owner, the visionary. All it takes is an experience to shape your vision, And I think that's what vision and purpose in life is all about. When you find something that you've seen and come across and you have a passion for it, now it becomes your purpose. Well, Clint Borgen is a visionary, and I am honored to be a part of the Borgen Project as an ambassador so that we can make a difference. Because if you know me, and a lot of you do, is I care about other people. And that's exactly what the Borgen Project is about. They advocate for the poor. They make sure that Congress is aware and that they keep being aware of what's really that's important and what needs to be done. And so I just, before we delve into a lot of stuff that I want to bring up tonight, I just want you guys to think about this as well. In this world, there are 58 million primary school age children. That's the elementary school kids, right, Kathy? That do not attend school.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's
and
hard
tonight,
to believe.
You guys are going to hear about what these kids go through, why they can't go. It's gonna make you take pause, first of all, and appreciate what we have here in this country and why we need to keep fighting for it. And then 260 million children do not have access to a quality education, meaning some of them just don't go to school because they can't. But some of them go to school and they don't have teachers. Some of them may show up at school and the teachers don't know what they're talking about. They're not even educated. In this country, there are requirements to become an educator. You have to be educated yourself. But in other countries, it's not like that. And I want you to tell me, Kathy, being an educator, what is the one thing that you take with you that you've kept with you the most? What is that thing for you?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry. You mean
Like what is it?
why is
What is
education
it
important?
about? Yes,
Okay.
for you, for you.
Yes. For
Everyone has
me,
their own experience.
education meant
Yeah.
fulfilling my dreams. It meant, one, because I always had a dream to be a teacher. In order to be a teacher in the United States, I did have to go to college. I did have to get a college degree. I did have to have access to those things. And for many, many years, I took that for granted. It was just like, well, of course, I live in America. I'm going to go to college. And it's getting harder and harder, even for Americans, to get a good college degree in America today. But it's a value to me because what it meant is, even though a teaching salary is not a great salary, it meant I could afford to feed my kids. It meant that I could buy a house. It meant that I could contribute and be a part of society. It meant that I didn't have to work 3 jobs in order to feed my kids the bare minimum at night. So it gave me a well-paying job. It gave me a place in society. It gave me confidence. It gave me strength. It gave me character to start a task and complete it. So education for me, and being able to have education in America, was everything. But as a child, I didn't understand that, and I can remember when I first started teaching, I taught
Right.
a lot of schools that would get children from other countries. And when those children would come in from other countries, they were the best students in the room because they valued that education.
Yes,
They had not,
definitely.
many times they had never been to school. And I was teaching elementary school. And I would tell my American children, look at him. If he goes home, he can't even get an education. And you can't come in here and sit down and stop cutting up long enough to value it. The love of learning how to learn is one of the most important things we can give to our children. Nowadays, we can't possibly expect them to memorize all the knowledge in the world. It just there's
Yeah.
too much, and it's
You
exponentially
said
growing
something
every day.
very important. You said something very important. And I don't know what has happened to kids where they don't appreciate. And I don't think the reason they appreciate is because adults aren't aware of what it's like on the other side of the world. It's time for us to be concerned about them, because when they win, we all win.
Yes.
Right? America is the richest country, and we have a responsibility to the others.
Yes.
It's part of our
Yes.
Constitution. It's kind of what we agreed to do. And we're falling short on that. And that's why I love agencies like the Borgen Project, because they too, just like me, which is one of the reasons that I'm with them, is because they understand that America's not doing enough. And we're just going to call it out. I'm going to call Rick Scott out tonight on the show. Yes, I am going to call out the Florida elected officials, because it's what we do. But before we get to all that, I want you guys to take a look at this. I just put a link there. And I need every single person that's watching this broadcast to click on this link for me. Because one way that we make things happen in this country is it all starts with bills and laws and getting into Congress. And unless we understand that process, because everybody wants to think the president, just get the right president there. No. Your state officials, like your senators, your House, your representatives, these are the people that have to speak on our behalf for us. And when you vote the wrong people in, then your interests are not talked about. So what you have to do then is make sure that they know. Every single day I email Rick Scott, Marco Rubio, Darren Soto, every single day about something. Now, when you click on that link that I just sent you guys, I need you to fill out that information. Just put your information in there. Don't worry that it says Florida, because what's going to happen is that they're going to send it to your state officials. You don't need to know who they are right now. They'll do that for you. But I want every single person to do that. And once you do that for me, please send me a message and let me know that you did fill it out, or send me a screenshot. Or even if they respond to you, let me know, because every chance I get, I'm calling it out. Now, what you're signing there is the READ Act, and we're going to get into all of that tonight. The READ Act helps people from abroad and all of that. So if you guys could do that for me, I'd appreciate it. All right. So Kathy, let's talk about something. Let's just go out the gate. We're going to talk about the challenges that are presented through education. Because yes, we are applauding teachers, we're applauding public school education, yeah, but it has its issues. So talk to me a little bit, Kathy, about some of the things that you felt like were the most appalling that you ran across as an educator in Florida, that you were surprised about.
Yeah. Probably one of the biggest things I was surprised about, because I did teach in low income schools. That was, where I wanted to be. That was my choice. As part of a teacher, we would go visit other schools sometimes, and we would go into some of the schools in the very wealthy neighborhoods. And it's like walking into a different world. The supplies are brand new. The chairs are brand new. The carpet's brand new. The lights, the climate is good. It's not hot. It's not cold. The teachers are not worn out. It's unbelievable. You go back to the schools I was at, books are falling apart. A lot of times they're the free books that the other schools gave away because their books got too tore up or old, because they won't keep old books in the wealthy schools, because wealthy parents don't want their kids coming home with torn up books. So guess who gets those books? Well, those kids
The lower income schools,
whose parents can't afford to care. They had the lower income schools. They can't afford the best supplies. Teachers in the low income schools routinely spent hundreds of dollars a year for pencils, glue, tape, paper. I mean, just the basic supplies. In my classroom, one time I was at a very low income school with some difficult children. And I had one little boy that I taught a lot of kids over the years, but one sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
And his name, I'll use the name Mark. Mark would come to school. He's in second grade. Mark would often hit the door angry, ready to fight, ready to be mean, ready to bully somebody. He walked in my classroom one time and immediately took a pair of scissors to a little girl's hair and was going to cut her hair before I intervened. One of the things with Mark is he would come in smelling like urine, in the same shirt that he wore the day before, the same clothes he had on the day before. I used to take Mark into my teaching office. I would keep clothes for him. I would change his clothes. He would be hungry. I would give him leftover milk from the cafeteria, because sometimes the kids don't drink their milk, so they turn the milk back in so it can be reused, the unopened milk.
Right.
I would give him cereal. I would give him milk. I would give him the food that was going to be thrown out in the cafeteria off the trays of the kids that didn't bother to open it even. So I would feed him. First thing I would do is hug him. I would hug him. I would dress him. I would feed him. And then you know what? Marcus was ready for an education that day. And on the days I didn't do that, he was an angry boy that would fight to his death rather than have his peers figure out what his life was like when he left school. Mark is only one of millions of children. he particularly stuck out in my mind because he was so young. But he wasn't the only one. Even in that class, I would talk to the kids about, what'd you have for dinner last night? Oh, dinner. Yeah. I don't think we had any food last night. And they would try not to tell you that because their parents had trained them, don't go to school and say you haven't eaten, because
Absolutely.
the authorities will come. And kids
Absolutely.
love their parents. They don't want to lose
Right.
their parents. So they would
That's right.
they would invent things that they ate, or they would avoid the question, or they turn around and punch somebody, because now they don't have to answer that question, because they've distracted me from asking the question of what did you have to eat last night, to get me to now address their behavior. And as
Right.
long as I was addressing their behavior, being in trouble was better than the teacher finding out that they didn't have anything to eat the night before. So I just got to the point where, and like I said, these are not single stories. These are multiple stories, but I'm just giving you some bare facts of some of the ones that still bring tears to my eyes.
Wow.
And that is what would happen. Those kids, it didn't matter to them that they would be in trouble, as long as nobody caught what was happening at home. So I got to where I just assumed when they left me at the end of the day, they would not eat again until they arrived back on school campus. So I didn't care how late they got to school. I made sure they had breakfast. I didn't care how late, what we had for, I made sure they ate. Maybe they didn't have lunch money. Maybe they forgot this. Maybe they forgot. They ate, because I knew that breakfast and lunch at school was probably the only food they were getting on a regular basis. And every now and then when mom got paid, then they'd get a special treat or a special dinner or something like that. So it's not like mom never fed them, but when it gets to the end of the paycheck and the end of the pay period, money runs low, food stamps are gone. Sorry, there's just no food tonight, kids. So it's
So
not,
how, see,
it's
this
not that
is,
the parents
but
didn't
this is
care and
what,
didn't want to eat them.
yeah.
I mean, feed them. They weren't making living wages. They weren't making enough
Right.
money to feed their kids. Go ahead.
And when you tell this story though, Kathy, when you tell that story, number one, I feel your passion and your love through it. I can tell. But it's like, how can children learn if they're hungry?
Exactly.
How can they sit still and pay attention when they just saw mom fighting last night, or mom when they got home and the lights were off?
Yep.
Now they can't study and they can't say why they couldn't study. The truth is, well, the lights are out, but they can't say that. So then these teachers, some of them will label them as you don't want to learn.
Right.
And nobody takes time to find out why.
Right.
And that's the part that I think that teachers who do should be commended, like yourself.
One of the things I remember about Mark so much, why probably I still remember his story, is he was very intelligent. He was a math whiz. Wow. And when I could get him fed, comfortable, and settled down, he could tutor half the classroom. He's very smart. He was very smart. Marcus,
which means he wanted to
could have been anything he wanted to be as he got to be an adult. I don't know if he ever did or not, because I don't know whatever happened to Marcus. But I hope he got a break, because the world needs Marcus. And people forget that. When Marcus is in second grade, or Mark is in second grade, not affecting your world in any way, and he never gets that education that he should get, your community doesn't even know on what they miss out on. because he never gets the chance to set the world on fire the way some other people do. And who knows? Marcus might have, invented the cure to cancer. But was he ever going to get an
Yeah,
opportunity?
he might be. No, not if he didn't get through school.
Right.
He'll remember you.
I
He'll
hope
be
so.
one of those people that he'll end up being a motivational speaker, and he'll talk
I
about
hope
Kathy
so.
Bell. Oh, yeah. So the purpose of tonight, though, guys, is I want you guys to take a peek across the board. I want you to care about what's going on across the border, okay? Because we should.
Yes.
And we should demand our country to do more, because the
Yeah.
Bible even says, to whom much is given, much is required.
That's right.
America should be doing more. So let me just show you why the READ Act, the reauthorization of the READ Act, is so important. Because when I became an ambassador with the Borgen Project, we just kind of honed in on one of the issues that we felt like we wanted to just kind of attach ourselves to. And the reauthorization of the READ Act was mine. And it's because I love to see kids be educated. Once I started reading and I realized not everybody has this education like you think. Americans do, because you have money and because you have opportunities, which is why people are trying to get here. But other countries, you take Africa, for example. Let's talk about some of the challenges. I got 10 that we're going to talk about tonight. And then we're going to touch on Rick Scott a little bit, because we're coming back tomorrow night. So we'll finish tomorrow night. But I want to go through these 10 things. Number one, Kathy, lack of funding. They have no money.
Yep.
That is why the Borgen Project is fighting so much, so they can have money.
Yeah.
It takes money to run a school. It takes money. You got to pay your teachers. You got to find qualified teachers. You got to pay them. You know, people don't want to just give up their lives to take care of other kids if they're struggling to do it.
That's right.
So money is needed. So this is one of the things, lack of funding. Number two, they have no teachers, Kathy, or they have untrained teachers. So imagine if a kid is going to school and the woman or man standing up there trying to teach him something didn't graduate high school. What is that? Is that a disservice for the child, or should it be one of those, well, they get what they get?
Let me let you know a little secret right here too. In some of those countries where there's very powerful regimes that are rich and powerful in charge of some of the poorest countries, the leaders of those countries will send the teachers that will teach the propaganda they want the kids to learn. So you talk about training teachers. To be honest, some of those governments don't care about training teachers. They don't want teachers to go into their classrooms and actually educate the kids. Because by not educating the kids, or by only giving them the education that they want them to hear, the propaganda they want them to hear, then they can stay in control. I mean, we don't think about that. We don't think about that.
No, we don't.
That's the reason why there's a lack of teachers. Because then, a very innocent teacher might decide, I want to go teach in, wherever.
Change the world. And
then
get there,
and then they get there and they find out, excuse me, your intelligence is not welcome here. Thank you very much. We're teaching our own kids what we want them to know. Now, there's another country that's starting to sound very familiar in.
America.
Thank you.
The United States. That's real, guys. Now, she's right, because right here in Florida, we control the education in Florida. I know it breaks your heart, especially when they start getting rid of the books. I can only imagine.
This is not I get so upset I can't even say it. We're not exaggerating. You just don't know it. because you're not there every day. It's subtle. It's happening behind the scenes. There's people that are deciding what they want your kids to learn. And guess what? In Florida, to be specific, we have banned more books
Come on.
than any other state in the nation. Why do you think we're doing that? Why do you think we're doing that? We don't want our kids to know everything about the world.
Right.
Bottom line. So, I mean, sorry, I could go on all night about this.
Oh yeah, I know. Number 3, they have no classrooms.
Exactly.
They have no classrooms. I saw one where they were teaching the kids outside and the kids were like sitting on the ground. I just, it's hard for me to get that because I'm here.
And more than not having a classroom, because honestly, I should take my kids outside, so we can get some fresh air. What they really don't have is the supplies that they need in those classrooms. My classroom was full of math manipulative science stuff for experiments, books, lots and lots of books. When you don't have a classroom, where are you going to keep a classroom library? Where are you going to keep a school library? Under a tree somewhere? So when we see kids, being outside taught, some of us might think, well, it's not so bad. They're getting fresh air. Look how cute they look sitting under the tree with their teacher teaching. But what you don't realize is a teacher in front of them is not the only thing they need. A place to sit, even if it's the ground, is not the only thing they need. They need lots of support. Sorry.
Amen.
I just like to add details.
No. I see your passion in this. Girl, listen, you're making me want to just get on a plane, just take a whole bunch of books.
Yes.
And just go to, like, seriously.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
We're going to talk about that because I'm
Yes.
really, really serious about that.
Yes.
Another thing, that was the next thing, lack of learning materials. Are you looking at my list? That's
I'm
the
not.
next thing.
I just did it for a living.
Materials. Because you just know,
right.
you just know. And here's the thing that I know that touched Kathy a little bit. They exclude children with disabilities, guys. That's real. That means that if your child, we're talking about the challenges that are happening with funding across the board, because I want to bring you guys into that world. But I want you to also pay attention to how it's starting to sound a little familiar.
Yes, it is.
Here.
Yes, it is.
They exclude kids with disabilities, meaning if your child has a disability, they don't learn. They felt like an education is wasted on them.
No.
Talk a little bit about that, Kathy, because I know you read.
Yeah, the classroom becomes a babysitting service. They put those kids in the back of the classroom, tell them to shut up and be quiet and sit down and mind their business. They're not interested in whether those kids learn anything. They're babysitting so their parents can go to work. That's what they are. They don't want to put the effort that it takes. And again, just having a disability does not make you unintelligent or unable to learn. It just means that school needs to teach you in the way you learn best. Because again, one of those children with a disability might be the next scientist that cures cancer. I'm going to keep saying cures cancer because I can't think of anything great right now that they could accomplish. But we don't know the incredible resources that we throw away in our schools every day by not teaching our children. The incredible intelligence and brain resources that we don't even access because we decide ahead of time, these kids are too much trouble. They take too much money to educate. They can't possibly contribute to society. So let's just teach them how to sit in a factory and put a square peg in a square hole. And then they'll have a happy life. They'll be fed. They'll be sheltered for the rest of their life until they die at 20 years old.
do they not provide specialized teachers for kids with disabilities? Like do they get evaluated so that you know what kind of, how to teach them? Because you can't
Are you
teach them all
talking
the
in
same.
America or worldwide?
Both.
Worldwide, it few and far
It's not going
between.
to happen. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Because I know it worldwide, they have like up to 95% of the kids that are disabled are
Yeah.
not in school.
They can't
So
even go to
let's talk.
school. Yeah,
Yeah, they can't
because
even.
they're shunned. They can't, they're not understood. They just have to sit home and waste away until they die. Newsflash, even in America in 2017, the new commissioner of education, when they took over in 2017, one of the very first things she did was eliminate about 95% of the procedures to make sure kids with disabilities got help. That's America, 2017.
That's what's
That's
real about this
your
show,
child
guys.
if you're unlucky
Yeah.
enough to have your child born with a disability. You better go get you a real good job because they need private school now. Because they're not
Because
going
they're
to
not
get it.
getting good education here. Right.
No. And so here's the other outshoot of that. The kids with disabilities are also the kids that have mental illness. Mental illness in America is through the roof. The kids with mental illness would get services for disabilities because that is a disability. Mental illness is a disability in and of itself. It doesn't have to be a physical disability. Mental illness is on the rise. Education for the kids with mental illness is on the decline. Do the math.
So how do you know when you have a kid with a mental illness? You can't tell just looking at them. How do
Oh,
you?
yeah,
How do
you
you?
can sometimes,
Really?
because they'll walk into the room and they will be so angry or so inappropriate, or they can't speak or they won't speak. It generally shows up in their behavior. So what we've decided to do in many instances is just label them as a problem child.
Yeah.
Kids are not born evil. They're not
That's
born
sad.
bad. We teach them. We teach them to act out. We teach them to take things out, to bully other people, to take things out on their friends, to act out of anger because they don't know what to do with all their emotions. So they throw stuff across the room. They don't know. They're kids. I've seen grown adults that can't
Yeah.
control their anger and throw stuff across the room. How
Oh,
is
yeah.
a little first
Tell
grader
me
going
about
to
it.
deal with their anger? Who's teaching them?
True.
Hey, let's stop throwing
Right.
things across the room and talk about how to deal with your anger. Who's teaching them that?
Right. Right.
The same people
Wow.
that did not teach their parents that.
So number 6, guys, wrong gender.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're like, what? Yeah. They believe that girls catch hell, okay, trying to get educated. It's young children because they feel like, and they marry them off early over there. They
Yep.
just marry them off, or they have to stay home and take care of the siblings.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really? Ella is children? Yes. This is why the Borgen Project is the leading charity group that fights for education abroad. And that is why we're here tonight. And that's why I'm here tonight. And that's why Kathy's here. Because
I
we
keep
are
bringing it
their
back
voice
to
tonight.
America.
Yeah.
But guess what? One of our very famous presidential candidates that happened to win the office
Come on now.
told
Speak on
us
it.
flat out what women are good for. Having babies. Now,
I know you
if
guys
that's
don't want to
what
hear it.
we
That's tough. It's
believe
tight, but it's right.
in America in 2024, with all of our knowledge, with all of our expertise, with all of everything we have, if there is any portion of our population that still thinks like that, any portion, 10%, 20%, that still thinks like that, that's what women are good for, having babies. Imagine how women are looked at in countries across the world where that's always been
I'm
the case.
telling you, it's real, guys. It's
Yeah.
real. This is the data that we're sharing with you tonight, that's supported, on reputable websites, because and if we don't have a reason to look at this, we just don't know.
That's
We
right.
say, I just care about what's here, and that's all I care about. My kids are not over there in Africa, but we're supposed to care. I want us to stop saying that we need to be concerned about what's going on here and not other places. No, it is a commission of ours. And I'm not just talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about God now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He said he commissioned every one of us to love. And he didn't say just love the people you know, just love the people you like. He did not specify. Right. So if he gave you a heart and he gave you blessings, he meant for you to share it. Because he said this, that when you do it for the least of them, you do it for me. The problem in this country is that the least of them are the ones we do the least for.
That's right.
Got to change that.
That's right.
Number 7.
Guess what? Guess what else? When you say, I don't care about the children in other countries, why don't we just take care of our own children here in America? Wake up. This is 2024. We as a world are a international society. People travel now. People that have had an education, people that haven't had an education, people that have not had a good life, people that have had a good life. What if your son or daughter works for years to become a doctor that wants to go into third world countries and maybe cure Ebola? Well, who do you think they're going to be around? They're going to be around the people from that country that needed to be education, so they have that support. They need to be around the hospitals, the people. I mean, we're interconnected as a world, whether we like it or not. We are now interconnected as a world. We cannot just take care of ourselves here in America.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I want you guys, if you're just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show, I put a link there. This is a link for you to email Congress. Put your information there. I know you're going to see mine, but put your information there, your email address, and your don't worry that it says Florida, because they will pass it on to your state. But this is how we make a change. This is how we do it.
Yep.
We can't talk about it. We got to be about it. We can't sit here and just say, well, let them take care of themselves. No, we are the ones right here. When I think of the families that have personally inboxed me, begging and asking for help so their child can go to school, my heart is full. My heart, it's real. It really happens. And our kids go to school, get detention, don't care, get kicked out. They don't care. They don't want to listen to the teachers, and they have qualified teachers. These kids just want a composition book. Just give them that. They're happy. So they can have something to write on and draw pictures.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they're grateful.
Yes.
And I'm speaking from experience because I've personally done it. I personally, Women at Work International has personally funded some of this stuff, and the how grateful they are, it brings me to tears, because I can't tell you how many composition books I haven't picked up when my grandkids, they'll write in one page and then they need another one. And I look at that now and I'm like, no, I want to send all of it to Africa, because we waste. We waste. Number 7, living in a country that's in conflict or at risk of conflict. Can you imagine walking outside your door and bombs are going off, bullets are flying over, and you just want to go to school?
Yep.
These are other challenges that they face. Number 8, distance from home to school. Can you imagine, Kathy, as a child, Your mom doesn't, your mom and father they don't have a car. You just want to learn, and they have to walk miles just to get to school. That still happens. They don't have buses. God forbid, if they don't have books, you think they got a bus?
Yeah, I used to have to walk a mile to school, and I thought I was like mistreated.
Right. Like, whoa, it's me.
What if I had to walk 5 miles? What if I had to walk 10 miles? And that happens every single day, 2024, around the world.
Yeah.
Not 1
That's
mile,
right.
not 2 miles.
We have two more guys: hunger, poor nutrition. And Kathy gave an example right here in this country. So I want you guys to pay attention here. Yes, I'm giving you challenges that we've learned that's happening abroad. And that's why the Borgen Project is fighting so that they can get the funding that they need so they can have the programs we have. But guess what? It's happening here.
Yep.
And you guys
Every
are
day.
sleeping on it because you don't know. Hunger and poor nutrition. The kid can't, if he's hungry, how can he learn? Imagine how you are as an adult when you're hungry. Because I can't function when I'm hungry. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like, no, I got to get something.
That's where the word hangry came from.
Yeah, hangry. Because I'm angry and I'm hungry.
That's right.
Then the last one, guys, is expense of education. It costs them. I personally know people, and I know how much it costs per semester there for a child to go to school. It's like $150 to go to school. And if you stop paying it, then your schooling ends.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that. We just, every year from grade to grade, we don't know how the books are being paid. We don't know anything. It's called the Department of Education. Now, let's talk about that before we get out of here. Because, I had to hit it. This thing has just been in my spirit all day. We got to talk about this. I want to give you guys I want to give you an article that you can read. I'm gonna put it in our chat right now because Rick Scott is, and I'm gonna definitely tag you, Rick Scott, on this video so you can see it. Because I think that you need to know that we're talking about you because we live in this state, especially, and you guys need to check your states because you just don't know what's going on in yours either. Because now that we have a new president coming, we know his views on education. So I just posted this article and I want you guys to take a look at it. This is the article. And look at what it says: shutting down the Department of Education. So let's talk about it, Kathy. Rick Scott, and I think that some of the other elected officials,
a plethora of them,
agree with Donald Trump that. Okay, so it's not just Rick Scott.
No,
this is you guys should be alarmed by this because
it's gonna happen.
He believes just like
it's gonna happen.
We don't need the Department of Education. What do we need it for? Now, Kathy, I want you to share with our viewers, what does it mean if we get rid of the Department of Education?
Well, Lord, we don't have the time to go through everything the Department of Education does for us. But to put it in a summary, the Department of Education oversees the big picture of how kids across America get educated. Maybe your kids go to school in Florida. So Florida is the state that you care about. You don't really care about education in Texas until you get transferred to Texas and your kids have to go to school in Texas.
Right.
And their education is worse than the one in Florida. That's just, that is not, again, exaggeration. That's serious. And that is what the Department of Education does. Again, we are living in a society that is moving, that's global. we no longer live, some of us do, but a lot of us don't have that luxury where we born, grow up, and live the rest of our life in the same town.
Right.
And so wherever your kids go to school in the United States should be quality education. And the only way to ensure of that is to have a Department of Education. What do you think a state, one of the poorest, very well known fact, one of the poorest states in the United States is Mississippi.
Mississippi, absolutely.
Okay? One of the richest is California.
Yeah.
So we have to be as equally concerned about what happens to those children that go to school in Mississippi as we are those kids that go to school in California. Because one day you might, as a person from California, want to hire someone that went to school in Mississippi.
Come on now.
What are you going to do if you can't find workers that can read and write or think or care?
Right. Right.
Again, we are interconnected as a society, and we cannot take that for granted. And when we eliminate the Department of Education, we eliminate the department that oversees all of that, that keeps an eye on what's happening in every single state in the nation, every single school in the nation. The Department of Education is watching how you're doing. And if you're not doing well, they're going to send you resources, money, programs, whatever they need to send to help you educate those kids in your area.
Right.
If nobody's watching that, if your area starts falling down in education, who are they going to help? Who's going to help them? Nobody, because nobody's taking care of that. Nobody's watching that. Nobody's making sure that it's equal across the United States. And that is just one of the many, many things that the Department of Education does. Remember that famous saying, "No child left behind"? And we lived for many years.
And it sounded so beautiful.
Yeah. Everybody, no child left behind. Every teacher heard it every day. It was the mantra of the century. The Republican Party is the one that came up with that. That same Republican Party that is fixing to eliminate the Department of Education. So,
yeah.
Have we gone from no child left behind to anybody left behind? That doesn't matter. If you are left behind, we'll just have another one. Come on, folks. It's not
real,
that hard to
understand.
People
take this stuff.
This is not rocket
people
science.
Take this as a joke.
No, it's not a joke.
But I think people take it as a joke. They think, oh, that's just Trump.
Right.
No, he said it before. He hinted at it, and it was in Project 2025. And people that were trying to communicate about why we need to be careful about who we vote for. This is why you have to read and learn and understand what it is that you're backing. Because if you don't have children in school, you probably got nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors in school. Children are our future. We spend so much money, trying to invest in children. And the one thing we slipped up on was ensuring that they get educated.
Yep.
We slipped.
Florida's gone from one of the highest states for education to number 47 under the current government. I'm not lying. Look it up. We are in a race to get to the bottom in Florida. The bottom. You should really think about that and marinate on that.
Yeah,
and not and not,
What,
like you said, just brush it off and say, that's not true. Yeah, it is.
what do
I
you
used to be really proud to
attribute?
teach in Florida because we had high standards.
We did. Yes, I
We're
agree.
number
What do you
47.
attribute? What do you
Yes.
attribute that to, Kathy? What do you, if you got to pinpoint it, what would you say was the
Well, I
thing
don't
that
want to
put it?
sound political because, like I said, the Republican Party brought a ton of attention to this in the year 2000 when they came up with No Child Left Behind. And they did a lot for education, funded money, schools. So they did a lot to help with that. So I don't want to sound political. This is not Republican versus Democrat. Really what this
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
is this is people with a lot of money. Money equals power. And they want to control everything. And they do not care about people that don't have money. That does not affect them. That does not affect their life. They just buy whatever they need. Their kids get a good education. But they know as well as you and I do, when they go to Disney World, somebody's got to clean that room that they want to stay in that 5-star hotel. If we educate all those people, they figure, oh, ain't nobody going to be cooking my food and cleaning my hotel room.
Yeah. Because they're going to want better for themselves, just like you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's going to do everything I don't want to do? Who's going to pick my food out of the field? Well, maybe those kids we are not educating might be able to invent a way to pick that food out of the field without destroying people's lives and health. You know?
Guys, I told you.
We don't think about the big picture. It's the
No.
rich versus the poor. And the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Poor gets poor. Yeah. And I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, guys, but we're gonna keep it going tomorrow night. There's so much more. Because I really want you guys to understand that the purpose of tonight is, number one, to celebrate American Education Week.
Amen.
It deserves to be celebrated. There are educators out there. I have a lot of friends that are teachers. God bless them. Been teachers for like 30 plus years, Kathy, just like yourself.
Yes.
Because they love it. They love your children. But they need your help. They need, when you send it, and I just want to say this, and I've never been an educator, but I can assume that when you send the kids home with homework, you want the parents to sit with them. Because I can only imagine what that means to a child.
Very much
have
so.
Mom turn off the TV for a second, get off reality TV, and sit with those children, read with them, find out what they're good at. Because because you remember how we were growing up, Kathy, our family, our parents knew what we were good at. Oh, I see Elle out there in the yard. That girl loves cheerleading. Oh, I can see her over there. She likes to read. Oh, I can see her over there. She loves to talk to people about stuff. So she's going to be a broadcast. They recognize that.
And you gave them the support to live their dreams.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. And the only way you know that is to spend time with them.
That's right.
So I'm just saying. But guys, I just put one last link in the show for tonight. Now, because I am an ambassador with the Borgen Project, I also want to be a part of making a difference by raising funds. So what is that? What happens with that money, Ella? Very good question. The money that we're raising, Borgen Project takes this money and helps the families that are poor, that don't have books, that don't have the education that we have. And they're using that and spreading it to also put programs. So it's not going into anyone's pocket per se. It is being used because right now they've touched at least 165 million people because of their efforts and working with Congress. Borgen Project works with the U.S. Congress to change laws and make things happen abroad, which is what we're supposed to be doing. So I just put my fundraising page there, and I need every single one of you. I'm just saying, go to my fundraising page, and I don't care if it's $5, $10, $8, whatever you have to give. Just know that it's being a blessing to these children that we've talked about tonight. Okay.
Right.
Now, for those of you who pay at least $25, and I already have people that have expressed an interest. Oh yeah, I want to get the book. If you do at least $25, you will get my children's book personally autographed and sent to you. Now, you may want it autographed to someone else. You just tell me who you want it for. You know, Christmas is coming. I have a new shipment coming in. So if you want to say, okay, Ella, and here's a picture. Here's a picture of my book right there. Love you more. And I picked this book and this story because it teaches our children that every single person in our society is important. And that's exactly what this show is about. And this movement is about, is that every single one of us, I don't want to hear another person say that we should not be concerned about people in other places. Of course we should, not just because it's popular, but because it's necessary. And we were all commissioned, because I read the same Bible that you guys do, and we were all commissioned to care and to love our neighbors. We weren't talking about our physical neighbors that live right next door. You guys couldn't have thought that. All right. So if God has blessed you to be a blessing, then give. Know that your money is going to a good place, and it's helping kids that we've talked about tonight. All right, guys. But I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you, Kathy. You're gonna come back with me tomorrow night, right? Yes.
Of
Listen,
course.
guys, I was supposed to have some of my I was supposed to have some of my friends from Africa, but it's very late there, so I knew that was gonna be a little difficult to get them here, because they're like 4 hours ahead of us. They're already in bed, and they're on that second dream right about now. So, But if you would like to be on the show tomorrow night, by all means, please hit me up. If you want to have some information to share or give shout outs or whatever you'd like to do. I don't know. You might want to come on here and say, well, I want 50 books. 50 books? That's 25 times 50. You know what I'm saying?
Do it.
I'm with it. It's not coming to me. I don't see it. It does not come to me. This is going into the Borgen Project. They're taking the money and they're using it. If you don't believe me, when you go to my fundraising page, there's going to be a little video there, and you'll get to see what this is all about and what the Borgen Project stands for. They advocate for the poor, and I am down with that 100%. So what else would you like to say to everybody, Kathy, before we get out of here, my friend?
Just remember, we're all a part of one big world. And don't forget your neighbor, and your neighbor, like you said, is not the person that lives next door. Love your neighbor. Thanks for having me on.
On that note,
I
we're
really
gonna get out of
enjoyed
here,
it.
guys.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Girl, all the time. We'll see you tomorrow night. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Ella Johnson Show. Please, by all means, take this broadcast and share it everywhere. And I'll see you tomorrow night right here, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Ella Johnson Show. Have a good evening, everyone. We'll see you. I thought we were going to go. Maybe not. Maybe the universe is not ready for us to go yet. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now, and we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com, or send a text message to 407 334 6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.